Vincini, Pokemon of Victory. Yeah, that was tied to Shaman. I remember that. If only it was more inspired than a squirrel thing. Psychic Fire is a cool typing. You don't see that too often. Sure. I like the typing enough to keep it. Okay, Snivy Superior is cool. It turns into a snake, which is interesting. And I like the ivy, like it's an ivy snake. I like that idea. Not really a fan of the smug looking, like obviously Superior needs to be smug and snide and servile? Servine? I'm not sure what they're getting with that, but I don't like the little snake with legs. But I do like Superior. Tepig, finally, a proper pig. You could be added to that little curly pig before. The design on Pig Knight is actually really cool, but I don't like and another firefighting. We don't need this many firefighting. You guys are gone. Tepig, you can be used somewhere else. Oshawott, you look like you're wearing pajamas. No pajamas for me, thank you. Okay. Dewott, I thought you were a dark type, or maybe you just have a lot of dark type moves. I don't know what happened to the otter there. That is not an otter anymore. That's a artillery piece. I guess it's meant to be a samurai. I don't know what happened there, but that's kind of cool. Okay, so one of each of this generation gets to stay. The last, the first, and the last. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think that's the worst one yet. So congrats to page 16 for that. Oh, would you look at this? This is like a better Drowsy. Okay, they do have one. Okay, Pat Rat. He quit YouTube, so he has to go, I'm afraid. He's clearly a prairie dog, but yeah. Lillipup into Herdier into Stoutland. I didn't know Stoutland existed. Looks like a Scottish Terrier, but like just a Scottish Terrier. But you know, this is the Rattata of this generation, I assume. So fine, you can stay. Purloin, Liepard. You know, they're kind of I want to say they're a better version of Perugly and whatnot, but I don't like Liepard's design or the name Liepard. I like Purloin's look. It is a better sort of Meowth idea. But Purloin, that's like another money thing. If this was white and Persian was, you know, like this should be the thing that lines up with Persian. And maybe Purloin should have Payday, although Payday gives away money. So maybe the contrast between Meowth is interesting, the stealer and the giver. Okay, so again, I'm a sucker for the tri groups. So, but, oh, I hate how that thing looks. I'm a sucker for the elemental groups. If they each had a third evolution, that would actually sort of redeem them for me. But I do not like how you look. I do not like how you look. You look okay. I don't really like how you look either. And if we're getting rid of those, you know, there's other tri-groups out there. There will be more in the future. But yeah, I do like the idea of, oh, you get a monkey, and then which one of it is it? And if they had a starting monkey, like a baby monkey that could turn into any of them, or it was a tri-type, it was a grass, fire, water type, and then it could turn into any of them, I think that would bring them back to me. That would sort of be the redemption there. This thing is cool. I don't know what it is, but it seems to me like a Munna. But it's like almost like a tapir, like a better Drowsy. It appears to be based on a traditional incense burner and based on a tapir that eats dreams. Yeah, so that's right. So it is just a better, because Drowsy, I guess Drowsy is a mythological creature, but this is just a better one, you know? Although, let's see. Let me guess. The Baku actually does walk around on its hind legs? No, it does not. Yeah, okay, yeah. So this is just Drowsy, but better. All right. Happy with it. Pidove. I recently had a run in Pokemon and Pokerogue with a Pidove that it kind of won me over. A dove becomes a quail, becomes a pheasant is a little weird, but so many of these bird Pokemon, you know, at some point there has to be a good trio, right? But we haven't seen it yet, really. But again, they're not bad enough to get rid of. So they can say, this is basically Ponyta and Rapidash, but lightning. And you know, with the zebra look, I'm kind of here for it. That's fine. Roggenrola, Boldor, Gigalith. Did they just take first gen and say, we're going to do first gen, but again? Like, here's our Ponyta. Right. I want to look at the... Okay, they changed the order up, because if it was like Pidgey, Ponyta, Geodude, and then down here you have like, I don't know, Machop or something, I'd start getting very suspicious. But they at least changed the order up to hide their work. Okay, so Roggenrola, fine. Boldor, I don't know what they're doing there. Don't really like it. Gigalith's kind of cool. But it's a bit too... Gigalith's a bit too Digimon, I think. So, Gigalith goes. Woobat, I don't know. It can stay. Swoobat cannot. Drillbur, no, definitely not. Excadrill, no. Audino. What's an Audino? Is that just a different Exploud? It turns into a Mega Audino. Really, they thought this was worth turning into a Mega Audino. It was meant to replace the Chansey in the Unova region. I see. Yeah, okay, I kind of see it, but no. Chansey was already towing the line, and it's only because of how important Chansey is that... And this thing, I think, is one of the worst Pokemon. I really, really do not like these three guys. Plain, Purloin is kind of getting to me now, too. But, yeah, plain Pokerogue. There's a lot of Pokemon I've seen that I didn't like, and now I'm just realizing they were all from the same generation. They're all from Gen 5, it appears. Yeah, not an inspired generation, except for Munna. Munna's great. They've got, like, one good Pokemon. And the starters have a form, which is good. You know, even Woobat's kind of a thin ice type thing. Okay, and yeah, and then you do not fix them by any means. And look, another frog wasted. And what is that? That's an emoji. I don't want an emoji. I want a tadpole. And these guys are also from this generation. I hate these guys. Throw and Sock. They're just... These are Muppets. That's Ernie and that's Bert. Like, what are they doing here? And then, okay, you're kind of cute. Why are they emojis? Like, they just stuck a face on a... Yeah, you know what? Your entire line is being extinct for that crime. Okay, so Venipede, Whirlipede, Scolipede, I believe can also split off into a moth in a later generation. And for that, these guys are actually pretty cool. And this is the moth Pokemon I was talking about right at the start that I think could replace Venomoth if it comes down to it. Cottony, Whimsicott, okay, you're actually good. Peta, Lilligant, actually okay. You're like an audition to a Blossom. Basculin feels like you need something, but you're fine. It's just, if you had an evolution that you'd actually work properly. Oh, finally, a Crocodile, I'm so excited. And then you just get this. Like, a crocodile, a sand crocodile, very exciting, but then just they turn into, I don't know, McDonald's mascots. And then we've got, oh, look, an actual proper cactus. I actually like that. Is Maractus related to that older one we saw? It is not. How strange. You're probably based on some sort of soot spirit in Japanese folklore, I wouldn't doubt, but this is Pokemon, not well, okay, no, that's not fair. Japanese folklore contains, Pokemon contains a lot of folklore from around the world. Actually, you know what? He's growing on me. Look at his goofy face. He's growing on me. Okay. But whatever that thing is, no. No, thank you. You, though, I am kidnapping away to the cactus mines with you. I think there's a reason I didn't go for that generation, you know? Look at that. Bam. Fixed it, just like that. And that thing's clearly another ghost as well. Another dark even. There we go. And then you just get a bit of this and clean that up, and then I can take this down to 4. Look at that. Everyone's happy. But yeah, I think, like, there was when I saw Tepig, I think it was Tepig I saw when I was at a store, and I was like, okay, no, I'm done with Pokemon. That was when I was like, okay, they've made too many Pokemon. Because I don't think there is actually too many Pokemon. I didn't realize it at the time. The problem isn't the number of Pokemon. The problem is the amount of bad Pokemon. But it's actually okay to have a lot of Pokemon, as long as they're all interesting and not whatever this thing is. In general, nothing wrong with having a bunch of interesting Pokemon. Sigilyph looks kind of interesting. Yamask and Kafregis, I like the idea, I think, but they push pretty close to the Spiritomb line, and I said there's only the one. And also, Yamask, like, having the arms there, if it didn't have the arms and those were just more tendrils, I think it would be a lot more solid. But I guess Kafregis has a bunch of hands, so it needs to have the hands from somewhere. Dwebble and Crustle, they're great. These are awesome. Probably the best thing in this generation, besides maybe the Venipede, Whirlipede, Scolipede thing. A turtle, a proper turtle, I like it. But then you have this, which, it toes the line. Well, no, it's not just rearing back. Look at, like, it very toes the line. Yeah, it's not quite just a dude wearing a shell. It's not a Ninja Turtle, so it can stay for now. You know, the, oh, 1 second. Okay, yeah, so here we go. So you see, when it comes to Pokemon, right, that is not a Pokemon. That is not a Pokemon. This is where you see a lot of the Pokemon that are made. Like this is the sort of, this is Socks right here and Throw and Machamp and whatnot. Here is where you get your Rosalies and your Lopunnies and whatnot, and that's still not a Pokemon. This is where far too many Pokemon are, and so this is definitely not a Pokemon. This is where you see a lot of Pokemon, and this is still this is not a Pokemon. See, this is a Pokemon, and on rare occasion, like that turtle, you have something that's like a 4.5 on the scale that is just barely acceptable as a Pokemon. Now this is kind of the reverse of how the scale is normally used, but all of these should not be Pokemon. There's my quick interlude. Okay, moving on. An Archaeopteryx thingy, the Patagonia logo or whatever it was. I like these things. That's great. That looks like Petrie from Bigfoot, which is kind of weird, but beyond that, I like it. They look like they're trying to do the whole muck thing, but no, that's a garbage bag. And that's a mouse that is also a garbage bag. That's an even edgier version of Sneasel or whatever it was called. That's fine, I guess. Another Pikachu. They just go for the Pikachu over and over and over again. This thing, no. I didn't know this existed. See, this is the generation I checked out on. So I don't know what most of these are. This is actually really cool. It's like a algae or chlorophyll type thing. I like that. Maybe it should also be grass type, but I like it. A duck that turns into a swan. Actually quite good. I did not realize that there was more than one ice cream Pokemon, let alone more than 3. Because I only saw the later generation of ice cream Pokemon. But, wow. So yeah, these are all gone. Okay, question. Does Deerling evolve into that Pokemon from earlier? Oh, it has different forms. That's cool. See, Pokemon always have extra details that you ignore if you just go into, like, competitive viability or something. And each of their forms evolves into a different... That's really neat. Okay, so they do not turn into that deer with eyes, but they actually have something else going for them, which is pretty cool. Okay, I like that a lot. So they put all their work into this deer, apparently, in this generation. So over here, it looks like they had another attempt to make a Pokemon more viable, but they just made it hideous. I think they should have gone for a baby Pokemon instead. That was a bad call. Emolga, it's another Pikachu, but it's a good one, so fine. You look like a baby, maybe you are, actually. Carablast. So they're a Blastocyte? Is that what those things are called? Oh, okay, you turn into an Escavalier. You don't turn into the Heracross. Really? It also turns into an Selgor? Oh. A Shelmet, if it is traded for a Carablast, evolves into... That is complicated. And I like the idea, but I had my entire team wiped out by an Escavalier, actually. They're very strong, it seems. But yeah, no, but you would be perfect to go along with the little Heracross. So I don't know why you aren't just a baby Heracross. How strange. And then being able to stick that fish on its head, that's weird. I thought that the fish evolves into a Escavalier. That is a cool evolutionary tree. I do like that part of it, but it's not enough to save it, I'm afraid. Not this time. But yeah, Pokemon got really complicated with the evolutions, and I like it. I really like how... Especially if you don't just look everything up. Well, yes, if you can find it in game, that helps, obviously, because some of the stuff's impossible to figure out on your own. Like the one in the second to last generation where you have to go be under a certain object at a certain time of day, and like, there's no way people are going to be able to do that. But the sort of biology aspect of the game of figuring out what is what, I really like that. Like figuring out how to get certain things, where to find them, what their habits are, what their habitat is. It's really cool. And every Pokemon, a lot of Pokemon clones, they miss this. They have basically a class, and they allow you to tweak the values of that class. Like, okay, this thing has this much attack and this much defense, and it has these 3 moves, and it's fire type, so it does this. But in Pokemon, it's more like every Pokemon is uniquely crafted, and then if it happens to share a move with another Pokemon, that's more of a coincidence than a time saving factor, and that's what unlimited Pokemon money can get you, and that's why other games don't do it, obviously. But it is neat that Pokemon can, and that's Pokemon's greatest strength, I think, is the sheer amount of money they can put behind it, which is strange when they cheap out sometimes, or they don't actually optimize their games. Like, you compare the Pokemon games to Tears of the Kingdom. Like, the fact that Tears of the Kingdom could run on the Switch means no other game developer on Earth has a excuse about their game running poorly. Except if their excuse is, I'm not a legendary team of programmers, I guess. But Pokemon should be able to hire those people. They're the highest earning media franchise on Earth. Not video game, just media franchise in general. They make more money than anyone. And they should... I saw a calculation where a guy pointed out they could easily afford to hire an animator for each Pokemon, or even each Pokemon move, and then just animate uniquely every single time they use the move. And yet they just sort of pick them up and they smack them against each other like you're playing with little bricks or something. But on the other hand, each Pokemon is so individually crafted, like this evolutionary tree. There's a lot that's going on, and it probably gets very complicated trying to remember. Like, for example, Whismur is immune to sound effect moves. But it's like, okay, what move has a sound type? Okay, well, Growl does. And so you have to go through, every time you add a new Pokemon, you have to go through the list of however many thousands of moves there are. And you have to go through every Pokemon and figure out each interaction between each of those Pokemon. It would be a lot of work. So you can cut them a little slack there. So this is a jellyfish, which is neat to have a jellyfish Pokemon. But the crown is pushing, like, Seaking doesn't have a crown. He just looks majestic. That's pushing it a bit too far. Fungoose and Amoonguss, I actually like. Because it's another, oh, I found a Pokeball. Wait, no, I didn't. Like, that's clearly what the attempt is, right? That you think, oh, I got a Pokeball. No, you're attacked by a Fungoose. And I like it. I'm sorry, but I do like them. A Tick, that is lightning. I like the idea, and I like the idea of more spider Pokemon, although they only have 4 legs. But those are pseudopalps, I assume. But I don't really like the design. So Thin Ice on you. Even though I do like the idea of just, a Tick that's lightning. That's cool. That's unique. Okay, Pharaoh Seed will be very contingent on what it turns into. Okay, sure. That's fine. Clink, Clang, Cling, Clang. Huh. I think Clang should have been just this thing. And then Cling, Clang should have been the two combined. But, and it's clearly another Meta Knight. The throwbacks are, again, kind of lazy, but it kind of works. I don't know what's going on over here, though. Like, what? Is it holding a knife? What? Is this just the render? What's a Clink Clang supposed to look like? Oh, it's got another gear around it. I see. Okay, he can stay because of the name. I mean, it's terrible, but it is kind of Pokemon. But the price of him staying, for now, is that I get to edit him again. It's perfect. There we go. It's perfect except for that bit right there. Okay. Clink, Clang, and Clink Clang have been redeemed. Amazing. Moving on. Dynamo Electric and What did they do? They put arms on Electric Eel. Why? It was doing so good before then. They were solidly here and they had to just jump down to here, Okay, a gem. A gem Pokemon's kind of neat, but that is just a creepy doll. I wonder if they evolve into a Regigigas. They look kind of like they would. Behem, like a Behemoth? That probably does evolve. Let's see. Behem. They're almost like a sort of Golem-y extraterrestrial. They're aliens. Ah, I see. Evolves at level 42. It takes a lot to get them up to a level, and then it just turns into that. They're barely this different. Litwick, Lampert, and Chandelier. I actually really like Fire Ghost. Is a cool typing, and it's a haunted candle. I don't know. Something about it really works for me. You're cute. You're so generic. There's so many Pokemon that look like that. A whole bunch of solid 4s, right? Cubchoo. It'd be cute without the disgusting snot thing. And then, no, definitely not. Why can't it be a polar bear, like a Dewgong type thing, but, polar bear? I don't like how you look at all. And I don't like how you look at all. That's cool. A snowflake. I like it. Stunfisk. It looks like a sea-dwelling Pokemon. I like that. No. I get the sort of kung fu type thing, but and the Shaolin, whatever, Mind Shao, but no. This looks like you took those scorpions from earlier and then you turned it into a dragon. Which, no. I don't know why I'm even giving you the time of day. And fine, you can stay for now. Look, an actual golem. We had Golem, but now here are golems, which is kind of weird. I actually have a golem statue I got as a gift from my brother recently in my room right now. And yeah, I mean, I assume not wanting to write Hebrew runes into Pokemon kind of makes sense, you know, but they kind of got the aesthetic. The golems actually have a belt for some reason. I don't know why they do, like the actual golems, but yeah. Okay, so remember when I talked about how that ladybug looks like an anime robot? This is just an anime robot. Look at that. You're gone. They're chess themed, I guess, pawn and bishop, but like a poignard and then a bishop. That's that. Clever naming. I like the names. The naming team for Pokemon is amazing. The translating to all the languages must be a nightmare. I don't know how they do it, actually. They must start in a language, typically, because otherwise I don't know how they do it, actually. Heroic effort. Buffalant. It's basically just a Taurus, but, you know, Taurus is good, so sure. Have we found the bird that is actually good? I think we might have. I like these guys. We've actually found a good bird. Maybe these replace all the other birds. So maybe this is what Gen 5 had to offer. They offered Litwick and they offered Rufflet and Bravery. I actually like the looks of these guys. Okay, so we got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, Volby, it looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card right now. But maybe Mandibuzz? Yeah, okay, you know what? Mandibuzz I kind of like the look of. No, you are a solid 4 again on my furry scale. An ant that is an ant. I love it. I didn't know that was a thing, but I love it. You know, I wanted more 4-legged creatures. If the price is an emo haircut, I'm not sure. I'll put you in the thin ice camp, right? 'Cause I asked for this, I guess, but I didn't realize what it would cost. These I really like. This is the lava moth I was talking about earlier, and I don't know if they're related to the other lava bugs, but let's see. Lavesta. But I hope they are, and if they're not, they are now in my new canon. Level 59. Wow. They really make you work for these ones. They are not related. Well, I think they should be. Like, they clearly should be. And that'd be cool if you could go into like a centipede route or to a moth mode. That's these are just like Indian gods. When how did that happen? Or maybe, yeah, no, these are just like Buddhist gods. I guess they could be Chinese as well, but they're just Buddhist gods. Here's a triple thing, but they look like, is there a better picture of Terrakion, or is that actually how he looks? Okay, so these are pretty accurate, what I'm looking at. It's almost like they just made a 3D render based on the drawing for some reason, even though the drawing's better. What does he remind me of? He's like a orc from Warcraft or something. And I don't like any of these things. Well, maybe Virazion. Maybe. Okay, and then these would be great characters in like not Pokemon. These are not Pokemon at all. They're cool, but they're not Pokemon. Those, they're like a worse version of Palkia and the other one. And then Landorus, okay, you're just from a different angle. You're just these guys, but again. And then Keldo, these are all really hard to parse. They're way too busy. Pokemon, okay, so you're a unicorn. Pokemon didn't used to have this many. Okay, you just look a person. No, you're gone. Genesect, having one like super robot thing, I will allow. Okay, and it's in Smash Bros. I guess Kyurem is as well. Yeah, this one as well. Actually, Keldeo. Huh. Yeah, you're on thin ice. I like the idea of a unicorn, but not this design. These are all way too busy. Actually, these are even busy in the Durant. Like, they used to have such simple designs. You look at the older Pokemon, and it's very easy to parse what was going on, but then they just... It's kind of like if you look at the old Warhammer models from, like, 4th and 5th generation Warhammer Fantasy. They're very pleasant to look at. It's like looking at a Garfield comic or something where your eyes just relax. Or an Archie comic is a great example. Archie comics are beautiful people drawn beautifully. But then you just throw in all this noise, and it actually takes a lot more brain power, and you're not relaxing anymore to look at it. You have to really, really focus, and it drains a lot to try to figure out what's going on and parse what's going on. And yeah, I don't like how busy it is. And if I have to go to 200, right, and I'm this on the edge about it, I think they're just gone. Well, okay, you know what? You're kind of cool. And Ice Dragon is a very cool typing as well. And Gensec, you have been downgraded. You're in danger. And you know what? You are as well, but less so than the others. Okay, next generation. I didn't realize that the grass type for this generation was so bad. But I guess everyone was telling them, hey, stop doing fire fighting. And okay, well, how about grass fighting? Aha! We'll put the psychic over here. But wow, yeah, these are terrible. Fennekin's kind of cool. Braxian is actually better than Delphox, so that's unusual. I've never seen Delphox before. This would be a neat design for like whatever those fox-tailed women in Japanese mythology are called. The name escapes me at the moment, but not a Pokemon. And I said this one's better than this one, which is true, but it's also terrible. And once more, I just can't get a frog. I just want a frog, man. Okay, you know what? This dragon is so much better than this thing. Unless they're both going to be on thin ice, I might as well get rid of one. 1920. Woo, worst page yet, and it didn't even have a bunch of slots. Yeah, Gen 5, terrible generation, and Gen 6 is not looking promising. Oh, that's how you get a Greninja, and that was its name. Right. Well, you're still not a frog. I don't like you at all, and if you were on your front legs, that'd be way better, but there's already so many bunnies that fail that. Okay, Fletchling is great. And it turns into a fire. It's almost a phoenix, but it's a falcon. Very cool. I would say this is the Pidgey replacer, except, again, it kind of fills a slightly different niche. Another moth. I didn't know that you were a bug. I thought you were like a dude in a dress or something. I don't know. I thought you were a starter Pokemon. And this actually evolves into two different Pokemon. I think in a later generation they add in the female, based on if it's male or female, which is pretty cool. This is a thing on a flower, Flababy. Oh, so it's holding the flower. It has 5 separate forms based on the color of its flower. It evolves into Floette, which evolves into Florges. And do they each have a color? They do. Do you ever get suspicious of the Pokemon artists? You ever wonder if they're doing it on purpose? It's like, there's fans that obsess about how Pokemon look, but I kind of wonder if they're doing it on purpose. These are great. They're also in Pokemon. They're also in Smash Bros. But yeah, no, a goat, a straight up goat. I like it. You took one of the most photogenic animals on Earth, and this was the best you could do. No. A Furfrou. Strange. Does it have different forms as well? Because I have seen a Furfrou in Pokerogue, but it looked completely different. It has 10 different forms, named after the style it is dyed in. Huh. Cutting fur increases the swiftness of its movements. It will revert to its natural form after 5 days have passed. Wow, they really they give themselves a lot of work, don't they? Having a Pokemon that you can groom is actually kind of cool. And it's super tanky. When I had one in Pokerogue, I was surprised by how tanky it was. This came out in 2013. Yeah, okay, that still kind of works in my timeline, I guess. But not my 2015. I guess I was way off on when I said the Shaman came out. Or they retroactively added it to the old generation. Maybe they did that. Because I guess the generations do get refreshes. You know what? You can stay. I didn't think you were going to, but that's kind of interesting. And what is an Esper? This is another cat on its hind legs. Because apparently cats forgot how to walk. So you're an easy-to-get psychic Pokemon, it looks like. And yeah, no. You're a Honedge, Double Blade, Aegislash. The changing forms, they're kind of neat. They're ghosts, they're possessing ancient weapons. I kind of like it. They're in. Spritzy, and is this another ice cream Pokemon? Why is there so many ice cream Pokemon? How many are there? What is Swirlix? Please don't be ice cream. Yeah, no, you are. You're whipped cream with cherry on top. Oh yeah, I don't like you at all. I kind of like this thing though, actually. And this thing is fine. Not this one. Well, no, it kind of works. Because fairy Pokemon, they have a little leeway in my mind. A squid, and unlike the jellyfish, which I thought didn't really work for me, this one does. That's hideous. Like, what is that? That's just a man. This is 2 barnacles in a rock, but that's a man. It's like, are the barnacles working together to form... Is this a colony of barnacles? Is there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them? Do you need 4 binnacles to make a barbacle? Maybe you do. If you do, then I'm still going to get rid of it because it's hideous, but at least that would be something. No, I really don't like that barbacle, and then binnacle is meh. But yeah, these are fine. I like the squids. The aromatzy, so these are like smells, I guess. Okay, thin ice, but yeah, it kind of works. Skrelp and Dragalge. I kind of like it. They look like the seahorses that disguise themselves as kelp. So yeah, they're fine. I like them. I don't really like how they look, but I don't really like how the things look in real life either. So, you know, it works. That looks like a basilisk, and it says Heliolisk. Okay, so this is actually on 2 feet, but that's because basilisks actually run around on 2 feet. They could run on water. I did back in grade 3, I did a report on basilisks, and they're very cool Pokemon. Sorry. They're very cool reptiles. Or animals. Yeah. They're lizards that run around, and yeah, so that's actually cool, and it's like a sun form of that. That Helio, and it has the sun on it, but it should be fire type rather than electric, really, you'd think. And it should be like a fire water type. And Helio, why is this not a fire type? Yeah, I wanted to be a biologist when I was a kid, and I still really love like animals and behavior of animals and all the different forms of animals, but when I did biology in school, there's a lot of tearing animals apart, you know, and that's, you know, if you're eating it or butchering it, that's one thing. I'll butcher an animal, sure, but just ripping it apart to look at its organs when they're already in diagrams so you can learn how to rip other animals apart and torture them. And biology isn't about loving animals. Or it's about loving animals, but not loving the animals for the animals. It's about loving the animals for the knowledge they give you, which I think is I kind of want to say it's a less pure love, like knowledge for the sake of knowledge. That's you can go down a very dark path that way. I mean, look at like, well, yeah, you can go down a very dark path that way. Okay, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, I like it. It looks cool. And then we've got a Apatosaurus, an Aurorus. That's cool. I really like that. Sylveon again. These are really good. These 5 actually. I think all 5 get the seal of approval. The green circle of approval. And I think this is the generation where they introduced Fairy, which kind of blowing my mind because I thought Fairy was like a really new thing, but apparently this is 2013. I was working at a kids camp at the time where we were playing Pokemon tag. The idea was that if you tagged someone, but you tagged them back at the same time, it was a tie. So it's everyone is it tag. So if you tag someone, they don't tag you, you win. But if it's tied, then you have a tiebreaker, which in normal everyone is it tag, it's rock, paper, scissors. But in ours, you would name a Pokemon, and then whoever had type advantage would win. Which was a lot of work for us counselors. Because we had to remember and figure out the types of the Pokemon and then figure out which had type advantage. And then, you know, if they had an equal type advantage, they had to have a redo. And yeah. Okay, I like the idea of a Luchador, but yeah, that's 2 Luchador, not enough Owl. If it looked like, you know, a normal owl, but with Luchador colors, that would be a different thing. Okay, you know what? Too many Pikachu clones. I'm sorry, you're gone. No. There's a lot of Pokemon that are just blobs. I like a rock fairy type. That's a cool idea. It looks like it's a geode or something, but no, I'm sorry. Another slug that turns into a dragon, and the dragon stands up. It was going so well. Okay, haunted keys. No, they're not. They're a fairy, really. Why is a fairy a key? This is turned into learning about Pokemon. I was thinking about old mansions and secret keys and such, blaming fairies for the loss of objects. If it was a ghost type, I'd allow it. Since this is my reality and it can be whatever I want, it's a ghost type. No, it's a ghost type. Now that said, Steel Fairy is an amazing type if it doesn't get hit by fire. I'm afraid that my sensibilities come ahead of competitive viability. Okay, I like it, and then it falls apart. Like a haunted tree, such a cool idea, but why does it... if it just had like a big spooky center and no arms, right, and it was just like a big spooky Scooby-Doo looking haunted tree, could do so well. And Trevenant, it's such a good name, but they just went and they ruined it. What's with all these Halloween Pokemon? Yeah, and it fits more in this. It looks like it should have been a ghost to begin with, because they're all ghosts along here, right? You look like you belong with the Carbink. And this is like the worst. X and Y is the worst ones they ever did, I think. A legendary Hoop Pokemon. Those can go while I'm here. These are very cool. I like them a lot. And it's a shame that tree didn't hold it up. Like, there was a design. There is a world where there's a haunted tree that looks really cool. That one isn't it. That's sad. Yeah, I really like the giant walking glacier. That's fun. And you look like you're from Ferngully, which is... You're a dragon, really. I don't know. I'm sure there's bats that actually look like that, but that's just... It's too busy, too ugly. Same with you. I mean, well, you're also just a Y, like X, Y, Z. It's kind of silly. You're fine. You're another rock fairy. Yeah, you're just the... What is going on there, actually? Why are they not next to each other? Carbink. It's considered a relative of... so you are a little human in a dress. Okay, then you're gone. Okay, so this generation, it's a mixed bag. It's not as bad as the previous, but it's still not great. That said, the reason that inspired me to do this partially was the latest Pokemon generation, which I have completely ignored because Pokemon's been doing, lines of X's for me, basically. The latest generation of Pokemon seems like they really stepped up their game and did a lot of things that I like. I haven't actually played them, but the Pokemon designs seem way better. Although, that said, there's some pretty solid ones here. And a lot of I've never seen before. It's just me learning about Pokemon, like I said. Okay, Gen 7. I'm actually pretty decent starter. And then Incineroar. Okay, Incineroar is very fun to play as a Pokemon, but he's not a fighting type, really. He is a fighting type and they know it. He's wearing a wrestling belt. They were just so... He was a fighting type when they made him. They went to the boss and the boss said, we've got way too many firefighting. You can't have him be a firefighting. And they said, but look at this design. This is what we're selling this generation on. And said, okay, fine. But he can't be a fighting, okay? Let's change it to dark and nobody will know. But we all know. I didn't realize this had an evolutionary chain and that this thing is hideous. Okay, Poplio is... No, it's still hideous. Like a water clown. What? A fairy starter, though, is pretty cool. I have to give them credit there. Although this could be another starter, basically, the whole Toucanon. My biggest problem with Toucanon is there's no cannon. Like, he has a beak cannon or whatever move, but I think this is probably where the translators couldn't figure it out. And there was probably a better one in a different language. We already did the Mongoose Pokemon, was Zigzagoon, but these ones are actually more mongoosey, but on the other hand, for some reason, it's not the most offensive thing ever. It is a bit weird that he's a gumshoe. He's detecting stuff and looking around. Like, you can have a Pokemon that detects things, and you can have a Pokemon that imitates human detectives, but one that does both is just a human with human culture, right? Like, we name things after things that look like they're doing human activities. Sure, that's fine. Like, oh yeah, he looks like a little gumshoe, isn't that cute? But then if he's also going around detecting things, it gets kind of weird. Litten isn't terrible looking. It's not great looking. Incineroar is actually really, like, design-wise, he's got really clean lines. Like, look, Decidueye is a mess, right? And a lot of Pokemon in the previous generation, the 2 generations, were messes of colors. Like, Toucanon's actually pretty solid, and Yungoos. Like, this whole group here are actually pretty solid. Incineroar is actually very tidy and clean, which is nice, but... Yeah, that's... Like, he's down here at a 2 or a 3, right? I guess a 3, but... yeah, and then this one looks like it's crawling rather than actually walking on 4 legs like a normal cat. This one actually is a cat, but the design isn't very inspired. So yeah, that's a bunch of the starters gone. Limited themselves to grass, fire, water. I'm not sure about that either. You could argue either way, I think. So you go from a woodpecker to a Trumbeak. I'm not sure what that's meant to be. And then the toucan, which, yeah, the naming doesn't really make sense, especially paired with the abilities. But, like, the ability makes sense for Toucanon, but where's his cannon? He just looks like a bird. He's a normal bird. And they're all normal birds. But they're good-looking birds for the most part. Trumbeak is a little bit less interesting, but you kind of need the middle ground to make Toucanon work, or you have to get rid of both. So, Yeah, these ones I think are going to be on watch. Then a bug that looks like a battery. It's kind of fun, I guess. And then it turns into a mess that I can't even distinguish what's going on. You've got punching gloves, which there are actual crabs that do look like that, but look how these things look. They look terrible. Oricorio looks like it could look good with the right render. See, this is how you do a dancing Pokemon that looks like a human art without just making it a human with some features. Like the PAL style is terrible, and the Pom Pom style. But the Sensu and the Ballet style are good. They're fine. They're great. So, like, I don't have the option to cross these two out, but these two are gone. But these two are fine. These are great. These are good. And it changes its type as well. Yeah, there's a lot of complicated Pokemon. Cutify and Rimobee. What, you keep wanting to go back to Butterfree and Beedrill, but you're too afraid to or something? That's like, just give them an alternative fairy evolution. Maybe these are fairy evolutions of those two. You evolve into Rimobee, really? Okay, yeah, these are terrible either way. Rockruff, Lycanroc, just more dog Pokemon. There's so many dog Pokemon, and these ones, where's the rocks? They're gray, but they need to be made of rock or something, carved from stone. Wishy-washy, sure, fish, fine. These are kind of cool. They're like little fortress anemone things. Yeah, they're fine. That's a donkey that turns into a Clydesdale, I guess, with like cowboy boots almost. So it's basically Ponyta but ground. But I don't like it looks like it's all dressed up, but you kind of want it to look like it's a wild Pokemon, right? Like even the Frou-Frou did. It didn't have it shaved unless you did it. I like the idea of a ground Ponyta, I guess, but yeah, thin ice. Okay, we've got a spider again. Again, it has 6 legs, so it's not a spider, but this almost says arachnid, which means it should have 4 legs. So I don't know what it is with, maybe it's harder to draw 4 legs, or maybe like 8 legs rather, or maybe it just scares them. Like they're too worried about scaring people away from actual spiders, because a lot of people are afraid of spiders. Maybe the same reason they don't do so many snake Pokemon. Okay, so Fomantis, I'll have to decide based on what you turn into, but so I guess we'll have to come back in just a second. Okay, yeah, no, you're out of here. There's the next one I saw was Psychedelics, which is interesting. Yeah, so this is the generation that I guess was brand new when I was going into college, or just going out of college, somewhere in there. Yeah, I didn't know they had psychedelic mushroom Pokemon. That's kind of interesting. So close to greatness once more. Then we've got a teddy bear, which, yeah, you know what? I like it. There was already a teddy bear that was better, actually, so thin ice in the competition. And then we've got a radish, which again turns into a lady in a dress, but it keeps the radish shape. I don't like the crown. I like that one. And it kind of does need to evolve. That's just a garland. Like there's a little fairy there, but okay. And that's Flash's villain, the Psychic Ape Man. What's his name? Gorilla Grodd. That's just Gorilla Grodd. And that's a lemur with a ball. What's going on here? They're fine, I guess. I don't know if I'd call that a Pokemon, but you know, it's fine. Normally I don't like it when they jump up like this into the sort of fighting-y outfit, samurai-looking thing, but this one's so hardcore looking, and at this point I've so lost what a good Pokemon looks like. we're just completely out in the wilds here. Was this game taking place by the beach mostly? There's a lot of aquatic, although there's like, you look like you're almost, well, Madagascar, I guess, but you look more Aztec almost, with like the rubber ball or something, and then I don't know what's going on. I kind of like the idea of a ghost that becomes, a sandcastle ghost, but the shovel is almost a step too far. Now, Pukyo-Mewtwo is a sea cucumber, and its fist that it shoots out is actually its guts, which it can control psychically or something. And its special ability is that it does as much damage to you when it dies as you did to kill it. I have it in Pokemon Infinite Fusion, and I like the idea of a sea cucumber. I don't like the fist so much, but the yeah, sea cucumber is neat. You don't see that too often. What on earth are you? So you're a created Pokemon, part of the Beast Killer project. Ooh. An anti-Yubi fighting life form to fight against Ultra Beasts. Ultra Beasts are those superhero looking things. What happened in this generation? Wow. Minior. Are you attached to some previous Pokemon? No, you just have a bunch of cores. Anytime I look up a Pokemon, it turns out that it actually has like 7 other forms. Yeah, you're fine. Koala, that's fine. No, we already saw you. Mimikyu, you know, it mimics the most lovable, in quotation marks, Pokemon. It's a ghost fairy. That's interesting. It can stay. Bruxus, that actually looks kind of neat. Looks like a fish. Drampa looks like a Catabellopass. It's meant to be based on a Chinese dragon, such as the Zulong. That's the cumulus clouds. Okay, so people didn't see that same. Oh, it does not look like that. Did not see the same link that I did. But yeah, like those long-necked, hideous things that gaze is so ugly it can stun you. Delmise is just an ore that is covered in seaweed, I guess, but it's a ghost. I'm getting kind of like burnt out on ugly Pokemon to the point where I'm thinking this is acceptable. Just whatever this is can go, and whatever that is can go. Electric Fairy is a neat type, but yeah, I'm gonna take a break after this generation and try to remind myself what good Pokemon actually look like. 1, 2, 3. That's why I'm doing this in multiple passes as well, because I kind of thought this might happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It all becomes relative after a while. You're just a mess that I can't even see what's going on. I can't see what's going on. I can't see what's going on. I can't see what's... Oh, actually, you know what? The Cosmoem looks cool. You look cool. You might look cool. Nihiligo. So nothing self. Oh, so these are the Ultra Beasts, I guess. No, I hate whatever that is. I hate whatever that is. Yeah, when did Pokemon just add in Guzzlord? When did they add in like stuff from... Oh, like this is like the lame opener in a DC comic. I don't know what this is. This is... I kind of like its design actually, but not in Pokemon, but something about it is compelling. That is kind of cool looking. There better not be a person inside that. Ow. Because it looks so much like... oh man. I'm so disappointed. Because there's a bug that looks... Why? Why are they all women? Why? I have nothing against pretty looking women, right? But why are the Pokemon trying to emulate them? Or does that say more about me? A molted cockroach. No, there's like bugs. Yeah, these things. They look identical to like these things. The cope pod. It's appropriate. Such a shame. And then a swole mosquito. Buzzwole? Really? Like swollen, I assume, but also swole as in muscular. Yeah, these Ultra Beasts, I am not a fan. Marshadow, Fighting Ghost. Wow, that's got to be a pretty amazing typing. So you're immune to normal and fighting, and you take half damage from rock and bug. You take quarter damage from rock and poison. You take quarter damage from bug. You're weak to flying, which is fairly common. Psychic is slightly common, but then the other weaknesses aren't that bad. Yeah, that's probably a pretty decent Pokemon. And it looks okay. I don't know what's going on over here anymore. This almost looks good at this point, but that's a Tears of the Kingdom boss, that's a clown. That's just a dude in a fursuit. That's a melted steel. Is it that? Okay, let's just finish this page off. I like, again, clearly meant to be fighting, and it's a stupid and okay. Get rid of the emo. Okay. We are safe here. 19, 20, 21, 22. And that's with me being very generous to these. That's almost the entire page crossed out. Yeah, that's all the way up to Gen 8. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages left. And yeah, Gen 7 did not finish strong. Although, like a fan game, you know, I'd probably give praise for having such out there Pokemon as not things that you go out and catch, but are created and you fight, but they're a step too far. They're a step too far. If this was like a really scary mosquito, if this was actually a cope pod, if this wasn't whatever it is, if I could see what was going on with half of them, might be onto something. And also, it's like, how come half your Pokedex is made up of non-Pokemon? That they're like Pokemon Uranium world bosses or something. I guess I appreciate Pokemon branching out, and maybe they are only bosses. If you can't catch them, I'd probably be a lot less hostile to them. But then you always want to be able to catch the boss, so I don't know where I stand. Very weird looking though, very weird. Yeah, thanks for thanks for suffering alongside me, and yeah, leave it there.